Hey Bubble family, welcome back to the channel. So thank you to the people that have stuck with me from the beginning, the wonderful comments that you give me, and to the people that have recently joined here. If you are a recent joiner and you'd like to know a little bit more about what I'm trying to do here, there is an intro video, so please go across and watch that. It's in the main page of my YouTube channel. I think you can access that maybe on your laptop, not necessarily on your phone app. I don't know. So in today's video, well, I would say this week's videos, I am going to be focusing on the podcast. So what I thought I would do, rather than just read the podcast and kind of that's it, I'm going to give you a therapeutic view on my perspective on what's happening, not necessarily just on what the way Megan and her guest is talking about the subject, but also in what I think as a therapist is the healthier way to look at these particular subjects. So in this one, I'm going to just be doing the intro. So I'm just going to be discussing the intro part of her podcast. And then tomorrow I will do the second one. And depending how long they take me to go through, I might do a part 1 and part 2. And I thought, so that's what I thought I would focus on. So like I say, it's not just giving you what I think about Megan and the guest, it's giving you a therapeutic perspective so you can come at it from a different angle, possibly a more healthier way of looking at it. So if you'd like to join me in this, then you know what to do by now. Grab your drink of choice, whether it be tea, whether it be coffee, whether it be a cool glass of milk. And as the weather is now starting to get a bit colder, maybe you are really going to go for your hot chocolate, because I know I do love that. If you'd like to add a little bit of something to that to give it a little bit of pep, then as I always say, it is 5 o'clock somewhere. So grab your drink and let's dive right in. So by now, Bubbles, I think every single person on this channel has going to have heard of the podcast from Archetypes. So I thought I would discuss the initial intro that she kind of did in regards to this. And then tomorrow I'm going to go into the first one, which is, I believe, ambition. She talks about ambition. So, Archetypes trailer is where it starts off, where there's these different voices that are reeling off different words. Like voice 1 says, "She's crazy." Voice 2, "Dragon lady." Voice 3, "Sluts." Voice 4, bitch. I don't know if I can actually say that on the channel. Don't know. And then, of course, number 5, the D word, a diva. And then Megan says, "These are words you hear a lot." Do you, though? Because I feel like what she's possibly saying here is that she might hear them a lot, which says a lot to me, because no offense, but I don't hear them a lot. In fact, I possibly might have heard I have probably heard she's crazy when maybe I was a bit younger. I certainly have never heard anyone call me Dragon Lady. I would just think of the reference to Game of Thrones and the Mother of Dragons, and I'd be quite chuffed with that. The SLUTS word, no, never been called that. Maybe I've been called a BITCH, maybe from an ex, I'm not sure. And I've never been called a diva. So Megan says these are words you hear a lot. So when she says, it's almost like she's saying it to everyone out there. Like, you know, you all hear this a lot in reference to women. And maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know. But she's generalizing here. And then she says in the media, online, in people's homes, they're thrown around casually and they're usually aimed at women. Well, okay, fair point. Although I think diva is not just necessarily aimed at women. I think you can be a diva. You know, some men have been called divas. And then the voice then goes on to who does she think she is? And then another one, she's so crazy. Then it's ungrateful, bitch. She just wants attention. So dramatic. Voice 11, who are labeled angry black women, the diva thing. You are either a prude or an S word if you sleep around with everybody. And then voice 14 says, get over yourself. And then, of course, Megan then comes in. It's time to cut through the noise. We're going to get to the roots of these words. Then another one says, the word bitch came out of this Greek insult that meant women were dogs in heat begging for men. Well, the female dog is called, is a bitch. And then it's and understand why they persist. So I'm guessing that she's under this illusion that these words are continuous all the time. And then another voice says, you know the fix is in. It's by design. It's a way of keeping women in their place. And then Megan says, along the way, we're laughing. And then she says, I love it. I wish I could take my own advice. My advice is great. I can take it, but it's good. It's great. If only I could listen to myself. I feel like it's the fact that you've been listening to yourself, Megan, is possibly why we are here. And then she says, we're learning. And then a voice then apparently comes in and says, the word hysteria comes from the Greek word for womb. And there's no way that a person who had a womb, came up with this definition. Then Megan then says, we're reclaiming our own identities, vibrant, content. I'm very crass, unencumbered, gregarious, sensitive and emotional and loving. And then she goes on to say, you can find Archetypes only on Spotify. And then the voice says, yeah, you hear that? Now what? I'm sipping iced coffee in an underground studio with the Duchess. Where are you? And it ends with her laughing. Okay. So do you think, and I'm putting this out there to you guys, do you think she's right or she's wrong here? Because personally, I don't agree with her. And this is why. Yes, these words have been bandied around. But there are also words to just, if we're going to look at negative connotation, there is also words to describe men in a negative way. What I find frustrating is that rather than say, look, how can you work on yourself to not be affected by those things? Because these words are around. It's not as if you can erase them from wherever they come from, the English dictionary, or from the way some people think. If you are coming up against somebody who calls you any of these words or names, if you like, it's more about how you respond. And I think this is also in light when I talked about bullying in my previous video. How we respond to somebody is whether or not they have an impact on us. So, for example, if someone came up to me and said, you're crazy, I'd be like, okay. And, I'm pretty sure maybe at times I possibly could come across crazy. If someone called me Dragon Lady, like I just said, I'd be like, oh, I'm like the mother of dragons from Game of Thrones. That's pretty cool. Now, okay, the word the slut is not, it is not just because I've heard people say male sluts. So that's not even just about women. Now, are these words nice? No. But I think this kind of almost again creates this almost victim, as if women are so kind of almost like henpecked and we're kind of in this little box of the way the men have created us to be. And I'm sorry, but I'm the sort of person that I'm going to break out that box. I'm not going to be pigeonholed into anything. If someone wants to call me a name, there's nothing I can do about that. I'm not going to be all offended by it. Like I said, I've seen so many things said about me on social media. And you have to just kind of go, okay. You know, if someone said, like I say, I'm ungrateful. Okay, well, why do you think I'm ungrateful? But if they then call me an ungrateful bitch, then I'm going to be, and I actually don't care about your opinion, because if it mattered, I might, but it doesn't, so I don't. She just wants attention. Well, she might. The person might just want attention. You know, there's a lot of things that actually, if they affect you, then there is either a ring of truth to it, or you've possibly grown up with something similar and it's triggering. So, for example, if someone said to me, you just want attention, I could possibly then look at that and kind of go, well, yeah, actually, maybe there might be times when I do, and I might say something or do something just for cause and effect. I don't know. Until that time arises, I don't know. It's like all of these are a chance to learn, a chance to look at yourself, a chance to look at how other people behave. She's really kind of got this, almost creating this to be, I'm a victim. And it's interesting that some of the things that she says here, some of the phrasing that she uses definitely says to me that these are things that have been said to her. Because there's so many words that she could have chosen, but she chose, I'm wondering if she's looked on the internet and she's seen some of the things that have been said about her and they have bothered her. So what's happening is she's decided to do this podcast based around the things that she has seen, said about herself, or even heard. And she doesn't like it. So this was a way, in my opinion, this was a way for her to get her voice out there, but she did it in a kind of manipulative way by saying, okay, I'm going to do a podcast and I'm going to talk about these in a generalized way to kind of then encourage other women to kind of come in on this. But actually, if you read between the lines, what she's actually doing is she's talking about herself, which we then see because obviously we've seen the podcasts or we've heard them, and she does predominantly talk about herself. But she's used the podcast to do that. I don't think for 1 minute, and I'm going to be really honest here, that she gives I don't think she cares about how women are perceived. She cares about how she is perceived. So what she wants to do is she wants to change that. So the only way to do that is to do this podcast. It's like, I want you to change how you see me, and this is a way to do that. Because she's crazy. It's possible. We've seen elements of where she's kind of acted a bit crazy. So it's possible she's seen that. Being called the bitch and a slut and a diva. Well, we've certainly seen that there's been aspects of that online. I've certainly seen people call her this. Now, does it make it right? No, it doesn't. But it can only have an impact if there is either a grain of truth to it, or like, say, for example, like you've had some bullying when you were younger and someone said something, and then it happens again when you're older, and it kind of reminds you of what happened back then and how you felt. So I think that she wants to create this is how I am, how I believe I am, which is the vibrant, content, unencumbered, gregarious, sensitive, emotional, and loving. So this is kind of the way she wants to steer people's opinions. And the ones that she wants people to change about her is the labeling that she's said about herself. So the way I view this, the way I would view this with anybody, is to have a healthier outlook is to, in a way, not be so bothered about what other people say about you. If you are going to be a famous person or you're going to go online, you are going to get different people say things about you. You are going to get the people that love you, the people that think you're amazing, and you're going to get the people that don't like you, even if it's just down to don't like your hair, don't like your makeup, don't like the way you dress. And then you get obviously the more extreme versions of that. Now, the reason why I believe that most of us call her out is because of her behaviour. Now, yes, some do critique how she looks and how she dresses, and that's their choice. But for the most part, it is her behaviour. So I think that's why she's had this angry black woman. She's had to get that in there because I think her target audience for her is women, and it's black women, because she seems to have a real issue with white men. I think she has an issue with men in general, personally. I think she has a lot of, a real lack of respect for men. And you only have to look at the fact of the way she's treated her own father. If she's treated her own father the way that she has, then there is no one really that is of the same caliber that she wouldn't go after. So I think men in general, and like we've heard her say, the angry white men. And I think she doesn't really care about women, but she knows that's her target audience. So this is why she's done this, to appeal to women, and then most definitely to black women. So this is why I think that she's done these podcasts. This is not, it was for her a way to have a voice in her, the way she views it. She's always had a voice. She's always been vocal, but for some reason she feels that she's a victim, and she's kind of like, well, we heard her say that in the Oprah thing, like she's Ariel that's just found her voice, which is bizarre. So this is what I'm going to do in the coming videos. I'm going to break down the things that she says, the things that her guests say, and why I feel that most of this is just utterly ridiculous. If you are not raising your daughters or even your sons to be stronger within themselves, they are going to consistently feel that they're a victim. And we've only got to see the way Harry behaves, in the fact that he's consistently a victim to everything. He does not have he doesn't have any self-awareness. He doesn't have any self-actualization where he's looking at his own behavior. And this is the problem. And I would say that Meghan is the same. And it's not just them. A lot of celebrities out there are like that. And a lot of people that are not in the public eye are like that. So, yeah. So let me know what you think in the comments. Do you agree with me in regards to this particular first bit of her podcast? Do you believe, do you agree with what I'm saying about the stereotyping of names? Is it just a case of, we should eradicate all of this, all name calling, or should we just get to a point where it's just like, it's names? And yes, they can hurt, but it's a chance to really learn about yourself. We can only change us. We cannot change somebody else. But I think what's happening here is that these people, the woke mentality, they want other people to change to fit their narrative, to fit their box, rather than, okay, how can I change? How can I be better? How can I not let that affect me? It's, no, this affects me. You must now change it. And I think there is the problem. So yeah, so like I say, let me know what you think in the comments, guys. So if you want to stick around for the waffle, I'll be doing a little bit of waffle next. And if not, then thank you very much for watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you like it. Please think of subscribing to my channel so you don't miss future uploads. All of the links to everything is in my description box. You can please go across and follow me on Rumble, because I've gone across on there just in case the YouTube channel ever goes down and you have a means of somewhere else to follow me. You can subscribe. No, I've already said that. You can become a member. You have my PO box there. You can treat me if you like this video and you want to treat me to a cup of tea. The link is also in the description box. You can become a Patreon. You can buy some of my merchandise. All the links are there. So if you would like that, then please do. And if you want to join me the waffle, it's coming up next. And so for the rest of you, take care, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Bye. So Bubbles, if you haven't seen by now, I have had an interview with Eric Hunley where I have talked about my, I have touched on that on my own video, but he decided to interview me because he's connected, I believe he's in contact with Nate the lawyer, and they wanted those experiences of people who have been bullied by Christopher Boozy. And as you know, last year I did experience that. So if you want to go and watch that, please do. Please go and support his channel. I'd be very grateful. He's a really nice guy. Made me feel very at ease and comfortable. I know that he's already spoken to Trevor and Murky Meg. So yeah, so go across. I will put the link in the description box, and it's also on my community page. So please go across and watch that if you haven't seen it. And maybe leave a lovely comment if you so choose. You don't have to. I have to say it was quite nerve-wracking. It's kind of bizarre being on the receiving end of an interview. I'm so used to kind of having people on my channel where you are, in a way, I suppose, you're in control of everything to a degree, that it kind of is the first time I've actually spoken on somebody else's channel. And that was a bit strange. We had a few little hiccups initially. Firstly, I couldn't log on to the link that he gave me. Then when we finally got there, then his sound wasn't working. So then we had to kind of do that. So there was and I kept thinking, is this the universe telling me that I should not be doing this? I don't know. But eventually we got there, and it was good. And in a way, it was good to talk about how I felt with somebody else. It was also good to show, because I've also shown him my credentials, so it was good to show that to him and have someone support what has happened. It's one thing when you're talking to friends and family, but have sort of someone, a complete stranger, say, you know what, I'm going to have you on my channel so we can talk about this, was different, and I was quite glad that I'd done it. I fear that I'm not going to lie, there's a little bit of anxiety around it, because I'm worried the bullying is potentially going to start up. Well, I say start up, it hasn't ever stopped really. It's eased off, but it's still going. But I have to be true to myself, and I have to stick with the side that's truth. This did happen. It's happened to others. And if we hide away from it, when you have a platform to talk about it, then, what's the point of me coming on my videos and saying to you, look, this is what you should do if you're being bullied, this, and then when it actually happens to me, I don't do those things. That kind of makes me feel like I'm a bit of a charlatan if I'm not doing the things that I'm sort of encouraging my clients or subscribers to do. And at the end of the day, you have to do what's right for you. If you decide to never get involved or not say anything, then that's absolutely all right. But I'd be remiss if I'm saying to other people, oh no, please do this, and then I don't do it. So for me, it was a chance to speak out about it that wasn't on my own platform. And I'm glad I did. And I feel much better for doing it. What comes of it, I don't know. But I have to trust that the people that follow me here know who I am. The right people, the people that have an actual use the brain in their head also know who I am. Because like I said to Eric, when I was talking to him, when he said about like showing my credentials, I said, initially I was kind of like, I'm a bit concerned about that because it's the one thing that I have that they haven't trashed. Like I put my a photograph of me. It was a real proud moment of mine when I stood in front, when I had that, anyone who's graduated will understand this, or anyone that's done anything that they're super proud of. That picture is the only picture I have, because when I had a relationship, I had a really well, most of you know I was in a narcissistic relationship. So when I was in that relationship, I've always had a box, which is my personal things. And he took that box and I had a folder which had my photographs of when I graduated. And there's one which is me with my 2 young boys. And he destroyed it. And so that photograph that I have of me standing there in my graduation gown, just myself, with the backdrop of the university, is the only photograph that I personally have. Now, I'm sure there's some on record, but I personally have, and it means so much to me. So when I put that out online and then a Twitter account decided to attack it and say that it's a gown I could have hired. Well, firstly, yes, you do hire gowns for graduation. You don't just have your own gown. They are hired gowns. So that part is true, but they said it in such a way that, well, you almost like you can go to a fancy dress shop and get this gown and hire it. And that upset me because that photograph represents something to me, not just in the fact that I graduated and it was a huge milestone for me, but in the fact that it's the only photograph I have left. So I think it brought up a lot of things for me when it happened, when I saw that. And I found myself going down this rabbit hole of just wanting to defend myself. I couldn't understand why I was being accused of being a fake therapist with zero proof. So I had that situation. So for me, when he said about putting my credentials up, I was kind of felt this anxiety of, but what if they attack that? You know, this is kind of something that's so precious to me. You know, something that they haven't got hold of. And he quite rightly said, you know, at the end of the day, anyone that's intelligent is going to see it for what it is. You know, no matter what you put up there. For example, like when I put my graduation photo, most people are going to see that A, I look a lot younger. B, there's no way that I would think to say, go to a fancy dress shop, hire a graduation gown, make up some backdrop of Brighton, University of Brighton, because one day I'm going to need to use it to pretend to be a therapist. I mean, that's just crazy. So most people with a brain are going to see that those credentials are real. And so it took a lot, I think, for me to kind of, okay, I'm just going to trust that, this is the right thing to do. Not just because, for anyone that might question or query his video and come on and say, she's a fake therapist. They will see now. I mean, I'm sure there might be something, but for the most part, people will see that it's real. So it's horrible in a way that you have to think like that, because I've never come across something like this before. But I was glad that I did it. If it helps Nate in any way where he sees there's a pattern where, this is happening. And if Christopher Boozy had not have put me in those pictures, I might not have said something. But, you know, he is continuing the bullying. He doesn't, you know, for him saying that he gets upset about the fact that people are saying things about him, but he doesn't give any thought to what he does about other people. He doesn't care who he targets. He doesn't care what he's done to Tug, to Trevor, to Murky Meg, to anybody that he's gone after. He doesn't care about them. He doesn't care that these are real people with real jobs, and he does that all in defense of a celebrity who's got millions of pounds or dollars, who probably doesn't really care about what is being said about them, and it makes no difference to the money they have. And he does it on, you know, for people like that, or Amber Heard. He attacks real people with real jobs, their families, for what? And that is what needs to stop. That. And so I'm fully behind that. So I hope that you will go across and support the video. And so, you know, being on the side of what's right. And that is no matter who you are, male or female, you know, whatever you identify as even. If you are on the side that is right, that's the side to be on. We have to stand for something. You know, what separates us from everything is the fact that we should care about people. It should matter to us how we are. And, you know, we're seeing a lot of this hatred online, and it seems like a very dark place, which is why the bubble family is also really important. So yeah, so I hope that you have had a lovely weekend. I had a really nice weekend with my family. It was good. I had I lost at games. I always seem to lose at games. When I play cards, I seem to win, but games, not so much. But it was nice. It was nice to kind of step away from the drama and step away and just have some time with family. My son is having a blast. We managed to video chat with him, and he's having a whale of a time. He sent me a couple of videos, which I might put up at the end here. Well, actually, no, I need to ask him if he's okay if I can do that. I'm sure he would be, but I'll ask him and I'll put him on tomorrow's video. But yeah, but they're lovely. So that was good to hear from him and to see him very happy. So I will see you in tomorrow's video, Bubbles. Thank you so much for all of your support, to all of you that stuck with me from, you know, whether it be the beginning to now. This channel would not be the channel it is without you. The Bubble family would not be the Bubble family without all of you. It's not just me, it's all of you that create this amazing space where everyone seems to feel safe. So thank you. So thank you to everyone who has been sending me little letters. I had a lovely little letter from a lovely lady this morning. Thank you so much. Her name is Sally. So thank you to you. And yeah, so I will see you in tomorrow's video, guys. And I hope you've enjoyed this one. Please like I say, give it a thumbs up if you have, whether you've been here for the waffle as well. And I will, yeah, I will see you tomorrow. So have a great rest of the day, whatever you're doing. And look after yourselves and stay safe. And I love you. I appreciate you. But most of all, I respect you. Mwah. Take care, Bubble family.